So it's all insulated right now, and we've just cut part of the plywood. You can see we've cut it. It's not perfect, but this is going to be our base for putting on the wood that is going to be our flooring. So Oliver's just counting out the ribs there, and he's making sure that the ribs are going to be marked out so that when we put on the screws to screw this down. So you've got to get these self-tapping screws, and they're a special type that goes from the wood to the metal. So this is the wood that we've gotten, and we were pretty lucky to manage to find this. It was actually at Habitat for Humanity, and Oliver's father found this. This is alder, I think you say, and it's really thin. It's about 3/4 of an inch thin. You can't see it, but we'll show you when we put it in. And that's going to be going all around the van.
There you go. Okay, that looks right. I can get you done. Right. There we go.
We're using these bolts, very, very thin bolts and washers, because there are actually small holes coming right through the van there, and that means that it's going to be A, flush to the whole thing, and B, it's going to hold it really well, because we found that putting screws is actually too wobbly, and bolting it in there is really going to make it tight to the van. I'm pretty pleased. It's looking really good, actually. Don't know if you can see that there. And we ended up using, if you saw in the clips that I took, we used a nail gun, and so it's really hard to see the holes. They turned out pretty perfect. Tiny, tiny, tiny holes, and that way it looks really nice from afar as well. See, we've cut away that part of the insulation because it's going to be much too hard to fit wood against those curves. So we've cut it away, and we're going to retape it and everything, and basically just put wood to those parts and then leave the yellow there. You'll see how it ends up. What's you up to?
So I just drilled the solar panel into the roof. Now I'm putting sealant around the brackets and the bolts. I trust that it's pretty well sealed already because it's pretty flush, but you definitely want to do this anyway. Use 100% silicone. It looks messy, but no one's going to see it up here. As you can see, we have the solar panel bolted on there. It's not going anywhere. It's nice and tight. The ceiling fan, the fantastic fan, is just going to go right here, and that's going to kind of like break the wind so that the wind doesn't get under the panel too much and want to lift it up. But I'm not too worried about that anyway because it's bolted on there really well. We got the Goal Zero brackets instead of making our own, just because I don't really know how to do that and I didn't want to risk it. Those fit nicely on there. It kind of grabs the solar panel really well, and it looks clean as well. And once we get the fan on there, it'll look cool too. So we had to cut a large hole right here on the van because the goal zero plug was pretty wide, and so we spent a lot of time trying to cut that hole, and then obviously we have to fill it, and that's just like marine sealant that you use on boats, so it's going to hold up really well to the weather.
So we're taking a guess. I think it's the 6th day that we've been working on the van. We're not sure, but we've gotten pretty far. Yesterday, we put the solar panel on the roof. We decided we're not using the fantastic fan that we bought. We're going to send it back because so many reasons, but essentially there was no way that we could find to put it on where the ribs were causing big holes. It needs to be a flat surface, and we just couldn't figure out how we were going to do it. So we're sending that back. But today, we are finishing up a few things. Yesterday we actually got this paneling done. If you can see on the roof here, we've made a frame. Just it's very similar to what we were already doing with the roof. We just ended up putting a similar kind of frame on the wall there, and then nailing these boards into that frame. And as you can see, it's not quite done. We need some trim here, but other than that, this part is done, and this part is looking pretty good. We have some more plans, but it's nicely finished. We've got a kind of windowsill, and we're gonna put like a little table here, but the bed is gonna sit about here. This is like covered. We just want to make it neat and tidy. So the other thing we did yesterday, it was put the solar panel wire through the roof so that it can connect to the battery, and we ended up having to drill a hole through the roof. That took quite a bit of effort to get the hole. It's actually pretty thick, the roofing where we were drilling, and then we fed the wire through and put epoxy resin. So we just mix it up, plug the hole with epoxy resin, and that's all done. So now we're continuing with the paneling, the flooring, and yeah. We decided we were going to go to Home Depot because we had been looking for trim, a wooden trim in an L shape that was going to finish off the edge almost. It needed to be 2 inches at the bottom to cover up all the insulation and things that was showing underneath the wood paneling. And as per usual, we didn't find anything, but as luck would have it, on the way there, I saw in the distance a gutter that had fallen down on somebody's house, and it clicked in my mind. It was like the most perfect moment of genius ever, and I realized that it didn't have to be wood that we were working with, because we've been mucking around with wood for like ages, hours, trying to get it to work. It could be metal. And so we managed to find the most perfect thing ever, and I swear this is divine intervention, guys. I don't know. This is the part that I'm like, I don't know if you ever get this feeling, but sometimes it's kind of like things happen as they should, and you just have to like trust. You just have to trust the universe that is working in your favor sometimes, even though it might seem like it's going in the wrong direction and things are too difficult. It's really getting in the right direction. It's just tough for a while, but it was the exact right measurements. I'm holding some here. It even had like this beautiful little lip there. I think this is made for guttering, and it's very, very lightweight, as you can tell. I think Oliver said it's galvanized. Is that what it's galvanized?
Yeah, that means
metal?
it's like coated in metal.
Yeah, coated metal, and it's really beautiful. It looks nice. I'll show you what it looks like finished. We've got some in. We've just been kind of cutting pieces to the right groove and things, because the van, of course, is quite curvy. But I just can't believe it. I was over the moon, because this is the easiest thing. Just drill a hole, put the screw in, it's on there, it's really sturdy. it's really light, it's not going anywhere, and it was a godsend. Honestly, it was so perfect. I was doing a bit of a happy dance at the end of the day. So that's where we're up to. We've almost finished putting the stuff in, which means that we're finished almost with the very top of the van. We've got a tiny bit of decorative trim to put in there, but other than that, it's all good. And Oliver's putting down the floor, and then the only things we have to do are put in all the fun stuff, like the bed, the cabinets, which I've been sanding down, and kitchen area and things like that. And we're not super worried about that. That's basically it. Whatever we can fit in, whatever we can do, we're gonna do it. But other than that, the van's looking good. I'll show you guys. So this is the metal trim that we managed to find, put on, all done on that side. The joins are pretty good. They're not exactly perfect. We tried to do mitered corners on most of them, and then finishing things off as nicely as we could. We're not professionals, like we've said so many times, but as far as it goes, I think it's really nice. And you can see it completely covers like what was underneath there. It's no problem. No problem. So, onwards, getting this side done. This part here is going to be covered by a cabinet, so we don't have to worry about that, just this section there. And I'm working on that. Oliver's working on the floor. Right, Ollie?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, the way we've been making these strips is by cutting them with metal snips, I think these are called, and they work pretty well. And then we try and trace them. So you've got, this is like a trial run, and you can see we've traced a bit here, and we cut only a little bit at a time, because you can always cut more, but you can never add onto it. So that one's almost perfect, but we've screwed it up a little bit. We need to make another one. Other than that, it's pretty simple cutting these things up. These things work really well, and you just got to have patience, basically. You can hear Oliver's working on stuff in the workroom, but right now I'm working on staining the wood, and I'm using this stuff, and I'll show you, if I can show you. Oop. Danish oil. You can see it's really nice, and I've got one side done and one side is not done with the Danish oil, so you can see the difference there. It's quite interesting, because it's not so much a finishing varnish as it is an oil that seeps into the wood and protects it. That's what it's there for. But it also brings out the natural color of the wood a lot, which at first I was kind of unsure, but actually it's really amazing. The wood that we're using is alder, so it's like a special type of wood from a special tree, and I'm so excited about that in general, because I just love the fact that we have this amazing wood from a really magical tree in our van. But the wood itself is really red. I don't know if you can see that. It's really cool. It kind of brings out the red quality of it, and I'm gonna finish staining it. It's gonna look quite deep and rich, I think. And Oliver is currently working on door panels, so putting wood on the panels of the door. And those have to be very thin so the doors can open. But yeah, things are going really well.